All right, so welcome. Let me just pin myself here. Um, Almost there. There we go. Everybody can see me okay? The text okay? The video, everything's okay? Okay, let me know. Welcome back to Think Differently. It's been almost a month since I've done one of these. And then before that, it was about a month because I was on vacation. So really have been missing these. And actually, thank you to those of you who hit reply to my emails and tell me what you think. Several people have said, oh my God, I've missed these. Thank you for doing another one. We've had a little summer schedule over here. But I'm super happy to be back doing this. This was one of the most attended topics from last year's lives. It was also I forgot about this. This was the very first Think Differently that I did, was this topic right about now last year. It was so popular, and freebies are such a popular conversation between me and my clients, that I just felt like it was time to come back in here and continue the conversation. So I mentioned this in the promotional email when you signed up for this, but I did do an entire 1 hour, actually I think it was longer than an hour live, last year on this topic. So for the most part, let me just let this one other person in. For the most part, I'm not gonna try to double dip and tell you the same stuff over here. Like, this is mostly gonna be around, last year, I'll tell you a little bit about what last year was, but last year was much more generic. And I mean that in terms of what I think about freebies. Actually, I'll tell you right now. Basically, like, to freebie or not to freebie, right? Like, should you have one? How do you want to think differently about it? Should you not have one? Who is it not for? How to not overgive in it, right? So many of my clients come to me and they're like, that sounds great strategically, but I have no boundaries. So how do I do this in a way where I'm not giving everything away for free? And so we talked a lot about that last year. How to think about it strategically and how it fits into your overall strategy. I even did, because I do a lot of free coaching calls, free mini coaching sessions. And I even did a deep dive on how to structure, if you're doing a free session, if that's appropriate for your business, even how to structure that call so that it has some appropriate boundaries in there. And then how to use them for market research. So we talked about all of those things last year. There's a tiny little overlap today, but for the most part, what we're talking about today is what's freaking working in 2025. So really what we're talking about today was also working in 24. But I just see a couple of really big, so all of this is basic business principles. I think it's all timeless. Both pieces are timeless. But the reason I 2025'd it today is because I just think the industry is changing so much. Even in the last 4 or 5 months, I just feel like things are continuing to change. Generally, they're changing in the same direction, so I feel like we're able to a little bit track it, but things are just changing. And so what boils to the surface for me today is 3 main components of a freebie that's especially potent right now. So it doesn't mean these are the only 3 things that you need in your freebie. I could talk about this for 8 days, but I also don't think it needs to be so complicated, so I won't talk about it for 8 days. I'm only gonna tell you 3 things. But these, again, are 3 themes that are rising to the top for me in what I see in my business, what I see in my clients' businesses, what I see in the businesses that I track and study and look up to, and also what I'm seeing with my colleagues. So this is just Laura Livingston's view of the industry related to freebies and what's really rising to the top. So again, this is not an exhaustive list of things to do, but hopefully this will help you, again, kind of get simplified around what to do with your freebies. Is it time to make a change? Is it time to just keep that shit running the way it is? If you're live, say hi, let me know in the chat and actually test it, make sure that it's working and you guys can comment. Okay, I see one. Okay, yes, please eat and go off video. That's perfectly fine. Hi. So let me know where you are. Let me know, why is freebies a hot topic for you? I would love to know. If you have any questions now, feel free to just go ahead and pop them in the chat. I'll stop periodically and check the comments. Please feel free to ask me questions throughout. But yeah, let me know why you're here. I know this is a hot topic. I'd love to know specifically why it's a hot topic for you. And I think you might find when you see what other people are sharing that there's probably some common themes that we can all maybe feel validated in, it's not just you. All right, so let me just pull up my little thing here. Hold on. So just a very quick, what we're going to talk about today. First off, and this is straight from my email because I want to deliver what I promised. First off, we're going to talk about why you could be thinking about your freebies a little bit too narrowly, and how to shift your perspective to be more strategic thinking. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Then we're also going to talk about what I think are the three strategic principles that your freebies need if you want to attract and convert buyers this year. So like I said, just those three themes that kind of just keep coming to the top as like, I just want everybody to know this. So that's what this is about today. And then we're going to wrap up with the number one thing that well-performing freebies all have in common. So if you've been in my world for very long, you know that I am very anti cookie cutter business in a box. Let me tell you exactly how to do it my exact way. I am a one-on-one business coach. I don't think I have a single one-on-one coach client right now. Like, you do not need to copy paste my business model or what I'm doing. And what we're going to talk about today, hopefully, so my point is, my approach is always how to take concepts and apply them to your business, how to think differently about your business. So really from the perspective of freebies, especially today, everything that I talk about, please don't just take it as Laura said I should do X, because that's just not how I see life or business. I was a consultant for many, many years before I started this business, and we used to literally have desks and email addresses in our clients. Like, I used to literally go to my client's office and like kind of looked like a worker at like an employee of their business, because we were just that in depth. And as consultants, we did not just come in and go, here's our like off the shelf, blah, 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 go do that, or we'll implement it for you. It's like, well, here's our perspective, but if you want us to do it for you, we'll customize it for your business. And that's what we, sold. All that is to say, that's the same approach I take to my one-on-one clients. I only serve clients one-on-one. My approach to business is, how do you learn what your business is telling you? How do you learn your business? My job as a coach, I think, is to learn my client and all their stuff and all their mindset stuff, and to learn their business and understand what strategies would work best for them, what's working now and what could be tweaked. So learn your business, take this from the perspective of your business, apply this to you. Do not take this as a copy paste, please. It won't work. And I'm trying not to present it from that perspective. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Let me just quickly check the chat and let me know if you have any questions, and then I'm going to jump into why you might be thinking too narrowly. Okay, hi. Freebie versus low paid offer. Yes. We won't be talking about low paid offers today, but I actually might start to answer your question in this first piece here. This is definitely all freebies, but we are talking paid offers next month, so stay with me. Hello, neighbor. Always want to hear what's working for people right now. I'm struggling to know where to share my freebie. Okay, good. Want to build a library. Okay, I'm going to come back to some of these. Okay, great. Good. Oh my gosh, so many good people here. Hi, everybody. Hi, San Francisco. Hi, Southern California. Okay, one freebie, but thinking about changing it. Okay, cool. This is good timing for you then. All right, so how you might be thinking too narrowly and how to think about it more strategically. This is one example. You might also be thinking about it too narrowly in other ways, but one thing that I just think is coming to the top this year in particular, because the environment is changing, is sometimes we're just looking at it too short term, too, like I just literally said, too narrowly. Like, we are like, okay, but here's my freebie. Somebody didn't buy today. This shit isn't working. Let me start over. And whether it's that dramatic, I'm being a little silly and dramatic, but when we're looking at our freebies, looking at it from the perspective of what are you doing for me today is rarely the best approach. Just like if you're looking at your offers and you're like, great, let me just cobble up an offer real quick because I need to make rent this month. What do I think is going to sell right now? Nothing wrong with that on its surface. If you need a cash injection, go get a cash injection. There's definitely like some really great short-term approaches that you can take. But what I'm here to stand for is ongoing, sustainable, predictable sales, consistent revenue, steadiness in your business, steadiness in your income, knowing where the next client is going to come from, even if you don't know if it's coming from like your pipeline or a new person or you don't know specifically who it is, but knowing that you just have a pipeline generated. I think that's what we really all want. Like today you might want a cash injection, but really what you want is a sustainable business that pays you really, really well over the course of a year. And so if we're looking at our freebies from that perspective, from some sort of short-term perspective, well, somebody signed up for my freebie, but then they didn't buy the next step course, so it must not be working. We have to look at our freebies as a part of our holistic strategy, as part of an ecosystem of both your offers and your marketing and your sales process. All of that cohesively comes together to start progressing people through the process of coming to work with you. And we need multiple touch points. So whatever words you want to use here, multiple touch points, customer journey, ecosystem. We need to start thinking big picture strategically about how everything fits in together. And so to your question about like, to sort of validate your question, Dove, like we do want our low paid ticket offers to align to our freebies. We want that alignment across free offers, paid offers, overarchingly, your sales and your marketing need to align to that as well. So let me just make that a little bit simpler. Your overarching, like holistic view of your business from this perspective, we want to know, number one, what do you offer? Having that clarity comes first. That's what we're talking about today from a freebie perspective. And then how do you create that journey, right? So your freebie does need to fit in. It does need to start to point people to, oh, I should pay her for this. And so your freebie then fits into your offer suite. And then and then the third piece, your marketing and your sales strategy supports those offers so that people progress through your through your customer journey, through multiple touch points. So a freebie at some level is just a touch point. And so if people are looking at your freebie, that's a win. You've either brought them into your world as a new lead or you've nurtured them down the line to someday hiring you. Okay, let me just see if there was something else. Does that part make sense? I think there was something else I wanted to say. Yeah, and so this concept of like, I just need to figure out this freebie, or I need to figure out my offer so that I can hurry up and make sales today. That's short-term thinking. And that's what really, I think that perspective on your business is what leads you to take actions in your business that are also short-term, which means you're gonna get up and down revenue, right? You're gonna get that feast or famine cycle. Sprint or rest, right? Like, can we find an in-between? It doesn't have to be perfect. But when we have that perspective of what have you done for me lately freebie versus, oh, this freebie just means if somebody sees it and clicks it, then that's a win and I can count that. And my job is to just keep progressing them through versus that doesn't count. Hopefully this makes sense. So let me check the comments, and then I want to talk a little bit more about holistic strategy, and then we're going to jump into the 3 things. My best freebie prepares people to work with me. Exactly. So if we're thinking high level, if we're thinking holistically, and we're thinking about how all the pieces fit together in our business, as I said a minute ago, my personal belief, I think a lot of people think you may have a marketing problem, quote unquote. You may have a sales problem, quote unquote. But I think a lot of people miss that the first part of that process before you start to market and not before you start to market your ongoing marketing and sales, but before you start looking at your marketing and making tweaks to your marketing, or before you start looking at your sales process, I encourage you, highly encourage you to go back a step to your offers themselves. I'm going to be doing a free masterclass next month on paid offers. So today we're talking freebies. I'm going to hold the paid conversation for next month, but it'll be a little bit longer. It'll be 90 minutes. It's completely free. It'll come out next week, but the link is already in the spreadsheet here the link is already here in the chat for you. I'm going to just throw it in here. September 17th, join me live or catch the replay. And we're going to be talking all about how to look at your offers as that holistic view. And then from there, your next step is then if your offers have all the pieces that you need, then you move forward to, okay, let me just look at the positioning, the messaging, the marketing. Am I getting the word out, right? Because you don't want to market and sell shit, right? Not that your offers are shit, but if your offers aren't working, they aren't solving a problem that your client has, they're not working for you to deliver all these things that we're going to talk about in the masterclass, that's where you want to start, because focusing on your sales and marketing is just only going to wear you out if you're not getting to that first step. And I find that so often that's the first thing I do with my clients. Even if we spend 30 minutes on the very first call looking at their offers, they educate me on their offers, and I get to understand how they're set up and why, and what people get out of it and how they deliver it. That's always the first thing I look at. And even if it's just making a tiny tweak or just looking at it and going, oh, these are good, that's always the first place I start with any new client. And so that's what we're going to be talking about all of that next month. Okay. So let's jump into the 3 components. Okay. So the first one we talked about this, actually, this is really the only overlap from last year's live. And I think this is the piece that most people know, but when you're considering making a change to your freebie, or you just want to reevaluate, or you want to create a new one, this is, again, super simple. This is the place to start. You either want to give people a sample, or you want to make it what I like to call an entry point. So for us, and some things can be both, but I like to think about it from the perspective, I always share this example. I really, 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 if you ever want to get me a present, but you can't because you can't ship this to Honduras. I love, love, love chocolate croissants. Like, love. When I go into a bakery, I know, in this example, I know what a chocolate croissant is. I know what it tastes like. I know that I love it, but I'm kind of a snob about it, right? Like I know, and I'm also, side note, I'm mildly allergic to butter. So I'm gonna take the hit. I'm gonna get a little bit itchy on my palms. That's what's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna break out in a little bit of hives. I will take that hit every day for the best croissant. But no way am I gonna do that for a meh one, right? Like a grocery store one? Absolutely not. And so if I walk into any bakery, I want a taste test. I already know what I want. I'm here to buy. I'm already like, I'm talking about this and my mouth is watering. Like I am ready to buy, but I still want a taste test. And so thinking about that chocolate croissant, that just confirms for me my decision, right? And if I don't like it, then I'll just order something else, right? I'll order something that doesn't have butter in it and I'm willing to take a chance on. Or I'll order their house special or whatever the thing, but it still helps me make my decision. And I think product owners really know this and really get this, but I think so much of what I'm talking about today is from the perspective of a service provider. And I think we often feel like we are giving away too much for free, when the easiest way for someone to hire you, especially if you're a high ticket offer, especially if you're providing a service, is to try it out, right? Like in corporate, the only way to get my jobs was to go and interview and like talk to people about it, right? Like even that was never the same as like week 1, week 2, when you're like, oh, this is the company I work for. Okay, right? Or, oh, that's my new boss. Now I see how it's gonna be, right? You just don't know until you live it. So giving people a chance to just live it in a tiny, 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 tiny way, right? When you give me a croissant, you don't give me a whole chocolate croissant, right? You give me like a little toothpick, like literally one bite. So thinking about how can you take your offer and sample size it? That's a really, really great strategy. So a couple of things that I do. One, you're literally here right now. This is how I think about business. I only do one-on-one. I have a high ticket offer. So for you to you might already know what a business coach does, great. But how do you know if I'm right for you? You want to start to understand how I interact with my audience. You want to start to understand how I think about business. to see if that's the right fit for you, right? So this is a great example. Another thing that I do, I will die on the hill of free sessions. Not everybody is down with that, and that's perfectly fine. It really works for me, and I talked a lot about that last year. But what a free session does is, yeah, you've probably worked with a coach before. You've probably worked with a business coach before. How do you know if I'm right for you? Let's just get on a call and let me coach you for 30 minutes, right? It is also just it's a 30-minute call, right? It's not an hour. It's not a full session. It's not 6 months, right? Which is what my clients get. But it's a taste test. And you can know something that will help you make the decision. And if that helps you make the decision that I'm not the right fit for you, oh my gosh, I would do that any day, every day, to not have a client that's not the right fit for me. And I can usually figure that out too. That's the other thing. If you offer free sessions, never, ever, ever underestimate the value that you get in delivering that. You get to test out your potential client as well. Especially if you're a coach or you offer like intimate one-on-one support. You don't want to work with somebody who's not aligned to you or who has a different work style or communication style than you, or a clashing one, shall we say. So it's also fantastic market research. I talked a lot about that last year. Fantastic market research to understand how your clients are presenting their problems and then use that in your marketing. And then the other, so sample. I think that's straightforward. Let me know if you have questions. The other thing I like to call is like an entry point. So what's the first thing you work with your clients around? And how can you build a freebie around that so that they're literally primed to be your next client? And also so that they kind of start to get a sense, again, of what it would be like to work with you. So a couple of examples. We already talked about my free sessions. I have a client who, this is actually a good one. In terms of the taste test, I have a client who does something. She has a modality. How do I keep this generic? She has a modality. I'm going to keep it generic and private. And the results that she helps people get is she helps them deal with stress and anxiety. But the way that she does it is really different. Not everybody understands her modality. And so she has a free webinar that goes out periodically where she gives you a chance to experience her modality for free. And she walks you through an experience so that you're like, oh, this is what that modality is. Yeah, I liked that. I want to talk to you, right? I know the problem I have and I know the solution that this chick gets me, but I don't really understand what she does. Great opportunity for that. We put that together last year. She's been doing great with that. Another client has a group program that is also sort of part course based. So like some of the content's dripped and then they do live group calls. And so when she was promoting that earlier this year, she did a challenge that was mirrored off of that approach. So it was part dripped and part live call. So just as an example, like thinking about it that way. And then for the entry point example, I'll use this example because I think it's very, very common. I have a lot of clients that are like web designers or copywriters and offering some sort of mini audit or like I'll give you feedback on XYZ. Again, keep it small, keep it boundaried, but give them a chance to see what they could do, what you could do for them so that they can give them something, give them some value, right? My 30-minute free coaching call. Oh, let me let you enter to win. If you would like to win a free mini coaching session, put yourself in, say something in the chat. Say enter me. Just go ahead and put in the chat enter me. Only for my live people. So if you're catching the replay, I'm sorry this one isn't available to you. But if you're here live, that's my incentive for you. So just say enter me, and I will. The chat will save, and I'll draw a winner tomorrow. So for example, okay, I think we covered that. Let me check the chat. I think I covered that. I want to move on to my other two because I think they're a little bit more different. Okay, questions. Let me check. Enter me. Yay! Ooh, so many enters. Okay. 15-minute consult. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I do a similar thing. It's a 30-minute free coaching call, and you have the 15 extra minutes to start that conversation. And then if they want to continue talking and exploring about working together, then I just have them book a sales call. But yeah, I mean, and again, I went through a whole bunch of details around free sessions. If that's a thing that's interesting to you, definitely check out last year's. And then I think, okay, so I'm going to answer your question about the boundaries here in a second. This is going to be a good one. Let me just say one other thing. I don't want to go too down a rabbit hole because I've also talked a lot about this in my content. I've also done a lot of Think Differentlys about what's new in the industry this year, what's working this year. So if you want to just check out the replays, you can just scan the replays. And I did one back in like March, or no, I think it was like April or May, about what's working in 2025. So I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do think it's important to say a couple things about the industry, especially if you haven't watched those and if you're wondering what in the world is going on. A couple of things are happening. Number one, we're in a little bit of a trust recession, major trust recession. People are seeing there's such a saturation in the audience online. There's also a saturation of coaches, especially. AI is not going away. It is big. It is changing wildly. I think ultimately it's a good thing in many, many ways, but we do have to adjust to the environment that we're in. And then when we think about, and the point about saturation in AI that I think is especially impactful for us is it just means that your content needs to be better. It just means that your marketing needs to stand out. It just means that you need to say some freaking hot takes and say like, nobody's going to tell you to do a free session, because that's what I've been in business for almost 8 years and I'm still doing free sessions. That's what people do when they first start their business, right? When they don't have any coaching experience, right? For me to go out and like put out some kind of content around that, like that's differentiating me. That's me doing my hot take. That's going to attract and repel. Those kinds of things are what's working right now. But if it's saturated and everybody sounds the same, you do need to spend a little more intentional time standing out. People also are having major burnout and decision fatigue, and then the breaking news cycle is just, I have no words. I have absolutely no words for what's going on, especially in the United States, but it's all around the world. There's so much going on this year, especially. I could have said that a lot for the last 5 years, but especially in the last 8 months. And so we are burning out. We are decision fatigued. We also, from a trust perspective, there's been a lot of people online that have had their heyday and have gone out in flames, or people have learned the hard way what it's like to hire the wrong person, or to hire someone who tells you what they can get you, and then you go and experience the work and you're like, this is total crap, right? I would say at least, this is a very big guess, but I would say at least 50% of my clients in the last year have hired me. And in our sales call, they informed me that they had such a terrible experience with another coach that they needed to talk that through and make sure that I was not that. And that's just real. Coaches, it's a real thing. We have to be ready to talk about that. So why am I telling you that? Because entry points and samples build trust. And they make you a real person, which is me skipping down to number 3. But that's all number 1, entry points and samples. There's a lot of things that it does, right? Helps decision making, all the things we've talked about. But the biggest thing for this current moment is it builds trust. And that's everything. Absolutely everything. Okay, number 2. Problem awareness and positioning you or your offer, your solution, your whatever, as the solution. Problem awareness and positioning yourself as the solution. Versus, so back in 2020, I could come on and do these lives every single week. I could do them for 90 minutes. I could keep talking in infinity. I could half-ass prepare for them. And y'all would be sitting here still listening to me because nobody had anywhere to go, right? And everybody was craving connection online and information and all the stuff. We don't want that anymore, right? We're overwhelmed with all the things that I just talked about, and we're busy, and people aren't doing these things as much. They're still doing them. Obviously, there are 22 people on the line right now. So these things are working. I just want to also say that right now. But we're not trying to fire hose. I'm forcing myself to give you 3 things today. Well, really 5, but 3, right? I'm forcing myself to give you 3 things. And last year I gave you like 12. But people just want the simplicity. We are overwhelmed by too much information. And the truth is, like, this is like timeless marketing principles, but I think it's just, again, it's just really, you could have kind of half-assed it in 2020, but now you really need it. It's like that simplicity is actually what helps a buyer make decisions, right? Confused buyers don't buy. You give me 12 options. I don't know, I got to think about it, buy. Right? Like, I can't. You give me one option and you give me a deadline by the special deal and you tell me why you need this and why I'm great, then, you're better off. So not fire hosing people, not overwhelming people with your freebie, more concise, but focused on problem awareness. And I don't mean tell them why they have a problem and don't give them any value. Of course, give them value. But to your question about how to hold boundaries, this is a really great way to hold boundaries in your freebie. Your job is not to solve their problem for them in the freebie. Because if you solve their problem for them, right? If I coach you and I solve all your problems, that's why I keep it to 30 minutes, so that I can't solve all your problems in 30 minutes. And I also ask you to choose one topic, right? If we're going to talk about your offers, of course it's going to blend into like talking about marketing, but I hold the space there so that we get to the offer piece, so that they get something. But there's always going to be more. And then you're positioning yourself as the person that says, I can help you with the next piece. Right? We talked about one change to your offer. I could help you with a whole restructure of your offer inside My Intensive. My Intensive is literally built around offers, right? We do that in 1 week, right? I can position that. That just helps me, 1, sell, but 2, support them in that 30 minutes and only support them in that 30 minutes versus fire hosing them, giving them 97 takeaways. And then no way they're going to hire me. They're like, okay, wow, thanks. I have all this stuff to do. In 6 months when I finish executing on it, then I'll think about hiring you. 1, that doesn't serve me and my sales, but it also doesn't serve the client because now they have all this stuff and for some reason we all think we have to do it ourselves, right? Now they're like, well, I have to do this before I can get help again. And the truth is, like, getting coaching is actually an easier way to progress through that process, right? Sometimes if you need coaching in this moment. So back to my point is to say, so problem awareness and positioning yourself as the solution. So not overdoing, not over fire hosing them, not solving everything, right? That helps to keep it short, back to the sample size. But giving them value, give them a win. Give them a quick win, give them a takeaway. Give them a like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. Now I'm unstuck. Now I can at least move forward on this one tiny topic. And this also helps you stop over giving. But with the problem awareness piece, how do I want to say this? If, for example, if you're listening to me today and you're like, so far my freebies check the 2 of the things that we've talked about, or 3, we've already talked about 3 things, right? Then you can decide like to keep your freebie and to not move forward with worrying about your freebie, right? I hope if that's all you take away from this today, like I have done my job, right? I have given you value. You're like, oh, got it, right? Or if you're like, I listened to everything that you said, Laura, for the next, we probably will go a full hour. If you can't make the whole thing, please come back and catch the replay. Don't feel like you have to stay longer than you need to. But like, Laura, I listened to you for a whole hour and I listened to every single thing, but this is the piece I needed to hear and I only walked away with 1. If you only walked away with 1 takeaway and I gave you an hour of stuff, I'm fine with that. Right? Because again, I can't coach you all one-on-one. I can only give you ideas and then you have to find the places that are right for you. So knowing your problem, especially in an overwhelmed environment, that's flipping everything, right? And I also want to say, like, you as a practitioner, like me sometimes in the 30-minute calls, I'm like, this is so obvious to me. It's not obvious to the client, right? My coach said something to me the other day and I was like, Oh, so like the advice that I gave my client last week, I just need to take it? Okay, great, right? We cannot all see everything for ourselves. We can't. You can't see the forest for the trees, right? You can't see what you're in. And so if you, as a practitioner, like sometimes the simplest, we all want to, like, let me tell you all the things I know about freebies. No, I'm just going to tell you the most important 3 things right now, because you don't need to know all the other things. And you probably already know all the other things. You just need to know what tweak to make to your business right now. That's all you need, right? So the more that we can, like, my job is to help you see what the problem is. And in this case, it's like what within your freebie, what's working, what's not, what do you need to worry about? What do you change? I always say, like, what do we need to change? What do we need to not touch? And keep exactly the same, right? If it's already working, please don't touch it. Or double down on it, but that depends on the thing. So again, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit or I'm going off tangent, but what I mean to say is if you as a practitioner, I feel like my clients oftentimes will discount the value of their freebie because it seems too simple for them, because they're 27 steps advanced past that, right? It's not always like the best thing you have to say. Do you know what I'm saying? It's what you have to meet your client just like you meet your clients where they are with the problem that you're solving. I think so many people as practitioners or service providers, they get that when they're actually in service, but we have to do that before we get to the sale, right? We have to do that in our marketing. We have to meet them where they are. And overwhelming them with 18 things is not helpful. It's like, this is step 1, solving your problem. Freebie complete. And then of course, give them a follow-up process. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay. Let me check the comments and then I'm going to move on to number 3. Number 3, and then my what everything has. Let's see. Okay, how do you stick to boundaries around free consults? I sort of answered that. I've hired terrible coaches. I just want to hug you right now. I have hired less than lovely coaches. I have hired really the best coaches. It's a thing. It's also like, sometimes you just have to, I don't think it's something, let me say it this way. Like sometimes it's them and sometimes it's your decision-making process and sometimes it's both. Like we can just all honor that. There's no reason to point the finger, but, and I think, by the way, just quick side note, coaches, I think our industry is going through a reckoning. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think the bad eggs will go, but just a reminder for my coaches, like at least half my clients are coaches. And we have this conversation a lot. Like, I don't want to be like that. So then people are afraid of putting themselves out there or afraid of saying the thing that the client needs to hear to make the sale, but also to help them know that they're the right fit for them. Every industry has bad eggs. It's not just us, right? It's just very up right now. Okay. When you say I'm a real person, I hear Pinocchio say I'm a real boy. Yes, right? But like that trust piece is everything, right? The sample is also here, I'm a real person, I'm not AI. That is a win. Okay, good. You've got my wheels spinning. Yay. Okay, good. See, I just want you to think differently. Okay. Seeing how much of this information can be applied to my journey. What are the specific 1, 2, 3 in one sentence? I love it. Okay, oh my God, trades. Okay, I literally had a conversation with a client this morning. And so thank you, Liz. You've just confirmed for me. I will do a whole thing differently on trades. I have a lot to say. I'll leave it there. I will be probably sassy and ranty. I actually think trades have a purpose, but I think they're overused. That's my quick answer. Okay, so number 1, entry point and sample. Number 2, create problem awareness and position yourself as the solution. Again, I don't want to get into a sales conversation, but do make sure that you hit the second part of that. Position yourself as the solution or your offer as the solution. So for example, very simple, like if you have a PDF as your freebie, at the end of the thing that you're providing value on, make sure you connect the dots and say, this is what I do all day, every day. This is my experience. This is why I'm a credible expert in this field, and I can help you with the next step, which is XYZ, book a free call with me, or whatever your next step is. Be sure to connect the dots. Every freebie should have some follow-up process. And then number 3, access to you. or I thought about calling this personalization, but I really feel like it's about like personalization. Sticking some personalization in your marketing is working really well. But I really feel like with a freebie, even if it's a digital situation, providing some amount of access to you, back to the Pinocchio thing, I'm a real person. How can you inject I'm a real person into your freebie somewhere, even if it's just inviting them to get on a call with you, right? Especially if it's like a digital download. And I'm going to give you a couple of other examples, but I just want to talk about this concept because this is also what's working from a trust perspective. It's also something I've been talking with my clients about a lot. Like, I feel like this is one of my big themes of the year is like, I'm just willing to do what everybody else isn't willing to do, right? I'm just willing to send you to give you a free session, even though I could do it differently. I'm just willing to not be too proud. I would rather just give you a free session than like write another piece of content, because I'd rather just coach people. I'm here to coach. How can you be better than ChatGPT is another way to ask this question, right? If ChatGPT could have written your freebie, your digital download, you got to provide something else, right? And I don't mean that it's not good enough, right? But if all you're doing, quote unquote, is providing information, I'm providing information right now, right? But I'm telling you my take on it. I'm giving you my client examples. I'm using my business as an example. I'm giving you like my sassy, like, I have a lot to say on trades. Like, I'm giving you that. ChatGPT can't give you that, right? And that's okay if, whatever. But like, that's another way to think about how to say, how can I give access to me? The other way I like to think about this, and this is blending into the thing I'm going to say in a minute, but is like not hiding behind your systems and not automating everything, right? So thinking about, this could be as simple as recording a video on the sales page for the free thing that you have, right? How do you make you look like a real person, right? Whether it's DMs, I'll give you a couple more examples in a second. Offering something live like this, you guys, like, there's 22 people on this thing. I'm talking for a whole hour. People are oversaturated. But like live stuff, people, like, I know most of you. I actually know most of you by sight. Like, I know at least one of your names just by looking at your little square. Not everybody, but most of you, right? Because you've been in my world for a while. This is a nurture conversation, right? Some people who are brand new to me, absolutely, this can be like a bring in leads, like a reach sort of action, but it's also very, very, very nurturing. Free stuff makes you like, this creates a deeper relationship than any little like free download I could give you. Not saying a free download isn't a good idea, but just to give you an example, like, how can you put yourself in your freebie? Even like photos of you in your freebie, if it's a digital download, right? Like, think that part through. How can I make it really clear that I'm a real person? How can I make you connect to me? Can I tell you about myself, tell you about my dog, tell you about something? Make it fit. Yeah, and not being too proud to be available. Okay. So just a quick recap, and then we'll do the final piece. Entry point or sample, creating problem awareness, and position yourself as the solution, and then giving people access to you, right? Like, hey, like, for example, maybe that's not a good example. Hey, buy my thing for $1,000, but you can't have a free discovery call. I'll buy a $47 thing for you if I can't have a discovery call. That's cool. I might even spend $500 if I can't have a discovery call, but I can't have I just have to buy this, right? So there's online courses out there that do that. I'm not saying, but as an example, if you have a small business and you have capacity, give people a chance to ask those questions. Give people a chance to help them. Sometimes it's just a validation, right? We make emotional decisions and then we back it up with data, right? I know I want to work with you, but I'm not sure I'm willing to I'm still nervous about the investment, or I'm still nervous about my ability to show up in this container, or I'm going to hop on a call with you and confirm my assumption. And if you're a real person and you are who I think you are and you're consistent because I've been following you, blah, 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 then it's more of a validation of like, yeah, I knew I wanted to work with you. Now I feel good about my decision. It's an easier yes. Okay, the thing that all successful freebies have in common in 2025, in my world, is they have a follow-up process. On some level, this is really simple. On another level, nobody wants to hear it. So let me share what I mean by that. It's really simple, meaning if it's like just a PDF download, again, I talked about this a minute ago, but like at the end, are you then selling them into the next point? Are you positioning yourself as the solution? Are you telling them what the next step is in your customer journey? Do you have a next step in your customer journey? Can you position those two as being very, very clearly next to one another? Hi, Courtney, I'm wearing your ring. I'm always wearing your ring. Can you position those things to make it very clear a stair step from one thing to the other? And that gets back to like holistic strategy. Are you looking at your freebie as like, come here and buy my shit? Or are you looking at it as like, let me just help you progress through the journey? So follow-up process could be that simple, right? Like just putting at the bottom, okay, here's the next step and here's how you take that next step. Book a call with me, download this next thing, whatever. Buy this $47 thing. Again, it doesn't all have to be teeny tiny steps either. Like my free call is like the next step from that is like working with me for a week or 6 months. Like, so it can be that big of a step. But thinking that through. The next step for you today is if you're interested in working with me, you can book a free consult, for sales call, discovery call, right? As an example. But giving people that follow-up process. Hi, thank you for joining my free thing. Here's the thing you can do next. I'm just gonna tell you. I'm gonna assume that you figure that out. So it's like basically giving them a CTA. Depending on what your offer is, if it's like an evergreen funnel, if it's like a webinar, please, please, please have a very thoughtfully put together email sales series after that. Happy to help you with something like that if that's a thing that you need help with. Connect the dots, tell them the next step. Okay, I said all that. So like some of that is very simple and basic and you've heard that before. The part that nobody wants to hear is personal follow-up. Hey, Susie, I actually know you and I saw that you signed up for my free download. Private message. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions. Right? Or if you're selling, if you're launching something, like, are you interested in possibly joining the group? Let me know if you have any questions or if you want to hop on a free discovery call about it, right? Like whatever the next step is. Personal follow-up, DMs, private emails, video messages. Oh my gosh, somebody sent me a video message one time and I was like, wow, you actually took like 3 minutes out of your day and you looked nice, right? So you weren't sitting on your couch with no makeup. Like you took 3 minutes out of your normal workday to send me a personalized video message that had my name in it, that said that they remembered where they, first saw me, or they did the research where they remembered. That meant something to me. That makes it a real person, right? Back to the like, how can you just give somebody access to you and let them see, not just that, like, yes, you're a real person, but that like, when we all know this, but when we connect with the person or the business or the brand, we're just more likely to buy. And the other thing I want to say is like big companies are doing this too. Like big companies are aware that like they're so AI-y and like so whatever that they're hiring. There's a lot more people hiring like, I don't know what to call them, customer service representatives or like, people that call you after you buy a big purchase or like whatever. That big brands are doing that, right? Let's learn from them. We have more time. We have more available. We don't have the dollars, but we have the straightforward. Like when you buy from me, you're not buying service from my coach that I hired. You're buying my services, right? You can actually have access to me. That's what's working right now. And it's working so much faster because it's fast forwarding that trust process. And again, bonus, just being willing to do what other people aren't. And I don't mean that from a gross sales perspective. I truly mean that from the personal reach out perspective, or from the I'm just not going to be too proud to be like, I'm about to hit 8 years in business and I'm still doing free sessions. I'm just not too proud to do that. You know what I mean? I didn't like decide that I graduated myself from that. Actually, I did for a minute and then I came back to it because I like it and it works. And having boundaries around that, like, you know, not anybody can sign up. These free coaching sessions that I'm giving away are giveaways. Like, you can't just go get them. They're not for everyone. So I do have boundaries and I have to balance my, you know, my time, my availability, but like, they do create clients. They just do. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna check the comments. Yeah, and so this is almost part of the reason I chose this, and you can literally see what I'm doing here with today's live and how I'm positioning this as if you also want to think about your paid offers and how that holistically fits into your business. That's what we're going to talk about in a masterclass next month. Can you see how I'm just literally positioning you to say, now that you understand how I think about freebies, if you want to learn more and you're wondering how to connect that to your paid offers, you can learn that next month, right? Let me just pop that in the chat too one more time. I will put that. I will also be, if you're on my email list or following me on social media, that will be coming out next week. I haven't announced it yet, but you guys are welcome to sign up for it now. Okay, yeah. Let me just check the chat for questions, and then I will let you go here in 2 minutes. Let's see. Oh my God, I didn't get to any of the, there are so many questions. I had this happen last time. Last time we went like over an hour and I didn't get to all the questions, and I recorded like a whole separate video to answer all the questions. So I will get to the questions either in another live or I'll do a follow-up video or something. So I will get to your questions. Buy the car. Yes, thank you. Buy the car without test driving and inspecting it, right? No, I don't want to do that. I want to test and inspect it. Number 3 of providing real access to you has opened my eyes. Yay, I'm so glad. I.e. for me, more than just a discovery call. Absolutely, right? So like, how can you just give people access to you? How can you make yourself more available instead of untouchable, right? And I think that's also like, part of the reason that's working is because of so much of what went down in the coaching industry, but it's not just the coaching industry. Like, I've tried to hire service providers to, not exactly team members, but like people to help me with a project, and they didn't have discovery calls, and they were like, can you just email it to me? And I'm like, I don't know if I can work with you and give you $5,000 if you won't talk to me. Like, I'm a talker. Some people would love that, right? Some people would absolutely love that, but I need to have the conversation. I need to bring you my thing and see what you think real time. I need 5 minutes of your time. I'm happy to handle the rest of it over email if that's appropriate. But that person lost the sale because they just weren't willing to be accessible. And that's fine. That's how they run their business. Highly introverted person. But just as an example, right? Like, they lost that sale because I just was like, oh, you're not accessible. How do I know you're going to be able to support me? How can I know you're going to hold me in this process? How do I know you care about my business if you're not even available to talk to me for a few minutes to see if we're right to work together? Okay. When people sign up for my email newsletter, I personally email them. I love that. I think that, honestly, like, it's more of that. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. I like to zag when everybody else is zigging. I love that. Already signed up. Yay. Okay, people have to run. Okay. Oh, for the sales framework isn't working. Okay. Oh, thank you, Shanae. Oh my God. See, this is why I love my audience. Somebody already fixed it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'll check the thing. Okay, sweet. Okay, I will let you guys go. We could talk about this forever, but I hope that those 3 things plus the 2 bonuses were helpful. If your freebies feel too complicated, or if your offer suite feels off, that is literally what I do all day, every day with my clients. And it is the entry point for my business, right? Like, so much we talk about offers in my business when I first start working with clients. So if you're interested in working with me, you can book a free consult. We can talk that through. I give you access to me. It's very informal. It's really just an opportunity for you to tell me what's going on in your business and for me to get a sense of that. And if we can work together, we can both ask each other questions. I have at the moment 3 spots available starting in September and October. And then for ongoing like 6-month coaching. And then after that, I don't know. It will depend. I might be full for the year. It'll depend on renewals and my capacity. But I will also have sprinkling availability for my 1-week intensives as well. I will always have availability for that at some point. So if you're interested in just starting the conversation and starting your decision-making process, now is a really good time to hop on a free call and just start talking. And then again, I will see you next month at the masterclass. I will see you at Real Connections. I will see you on Instagram stories. I will see you on LinkedIn. Thank you for being here. So good to see everybody. Bye.